Welcome back, everybody. We are keeping it moving here, and as usual, Ruckus is always on point with everything. Later on, you will hear more lyrics from the song that's playing in the background. It's a Throwback Thursday, and he's always keeping the music relevant as well. Now, I'm going to be chatting this morning with Alleyne, and she is a personal development coach, a certified financial education instructor, and so much more. And Alleyne is here to chat with us about budgeting and COVID. Good morning, Alleyne.
Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
I love the bright and bubbly attitude this hour of the morning. Not everybody could do that at this time of morning.
Not everybody, but I am here. We are talking about one of my favorite topics, budgeting. So I am fired up for this morning.
Always a great way to be. Now, before we jump into the budgeting part of it, tell us a little more about your background as a personal development coach as well as a financial education instructor.
Well, my background as a personal development coach and a financial education instructor actually started last year.
Wow.
I was at home during COVID-19 and I just saw a lot of people reaching out to me for assistance. And I decided, you know what, I can be of better service to the persons that come to me if I actually harness my skills and give back to them in a meaningful way. Having taught for several years and also after spending a lot of years in the banking industry, I would have seen the effects of poorly managing your finances, what it can do to a person, whether it can help them or it can cause a lot of harm to them. And having spent my time as well as an educator, I actually teach at Bishop's High School, Tobago. I deal one-on-one with students, and in my extracurricular activities, being heavily engaged in youth work and community service, we're seeing all of these things come into the fore where people are having problems managing their money. People are having problems just being confident and being effectively able to accomplish their goals. So there is a real need for what I am doing right now. And I just felt that it was time for me to harness my power and to really be of service to the persons that I would have been called to serve.
Just the intention behind it. It's so beautiful. And I want to jump into the topic at hand now. What is different about budgeting during a pandemic?
Well, first things first, let's talk about our current situation. We are in a pandemic, and even worse, we are in an economic crisis, right? We are in a crisis where we would have seen schools being closed down, businesses closed down, people are working at home, right? This has led to reduced income. Everything that we know to be normal would have changed. And with all the changes that would have come along, we have no choice but to change the way that we manage our finances. So during a pandemic, budgeting is absolutely necessary because persons would have experienced losing their jobs. Persons would have experienced being temporarily at home or having their businesses closed down, some kind of reduced income. So now you are left with the decision as to how am I going to cope? How am I going to make my money work for me? And one of the tools that you have at your disposal is budgeting. Right now, when we look at the pandemic and the persons who would have been affected, I would have realized that there are really two main categories of persons. Persons who would have actually benefited from the pandemic and they're actually saving money because of reduced transportation costs and stuff like that. And then we have the larger subset of persons, those persons who are struggling. And whether you fall into the category where you are saving or you are budgeting, you have to take another look at your money at this point. For the persons who are saving, right now they're seeing extra disposable income. It is not to squander that money, but really to use it as an opportunity to boost your emergency savings, to use it as an opportunity to invest in probably learning a new skill, upskill, use it as an opportunity to pay down your debt, use it as an opportunity to start a side hustle. But I think what people really want to hear about today is I am struggling in COVID-19, how do I manage my money? Now, the thing is, for the persons who are struggling, we need to now take another look at your budget. You need to do an audit of your spending. And during times like these where we have crises or persons are operating on limited income, we like to introduce the notion of a bare budget, right? And as the name says, bare budget means focusing on bare necessities, right? So during this time, you really want to make an analysis of what you are spending your money on and to really focus on the things that are essential to your survival and also meeting your financial obligations. And you notice I put in there meeting your financial obligations because the vast majority of us will survive COVID-19, right? This is just one of those things that we have to get through and work through. And at the end of it, you want to ensure that you have a good credit history, that it is standing. Now, when we look at the bare budget, we want to focus on four main things, right? You want to ensure that you're covering your expenses for food, for shelter, for your utilities, transport. And I'm going to add a few more variables there, right? Aside from those four main things, we also want to put aside some money or focus on our medical expenses or sanitation expenses. You know, just to prevent this virus, you need to put aside some extra money for masks, for hand sanitizers, those sorts of things. And then, of course, I would have mentioned you also need to place some priority, if you can, to service your debts.
Definitely, definitely. And when it comes to budgeting, there are some things that we need to stop doing, because some people have that these days, especially, they have that urge to impulse buy. They say, "I'm feeling for something nice," and you go and spend money on something you don't need. What are some tips you can give to help break that habit?
Right. So some tips that I can give. First thing first, impulse spending is really something that is emotional. It's usually linked to some kind of emotion. So as a personal development coach, I would tell you, get on top of why you are spending. What emotion is triggering you to spend? Because if you can address that, then it can possibly help you to come up with ways in which to offset it. So if it's a situation where you're feeling lonely, you're feeling bored, you have some esteem issues, then a reasonable solution might be to call a friend when you're getting the urge, or to engage in some kind of positive activity such as exercising or reading or whatever hobby it is to get your mind off of it. From a more practical standpoint, when you're looking at impulse spending, you want to ensure that you make it difficult to spend. And what I mean by making it difficult to spend, if it is that the credit card is easily accessible, then you need to hide that credit card, right? Or you need whatever online shopping that you're doing, because many right now people are engaging in online shopping, right? You need to remove that card number from all those sites. Make it very difficult. If you have bank accounts that are linked to your debit card that you use to spend, then by all means, have a separate account that is put aside, that is not linked to your card, so it is extremely difficult to spend. There are other things that you can do to curb impulse spending. And another solution is finding something else to do, like I would have previously mentioned. So if it is that the urge is to spend, then what I normally say is, if the urge is to impulse shop, then you need to stop. Stop and think, is this helping me or is this hurting me? Because a lot of persons who engage in impulse buying and retail therapy, they normally regret those buying decisions after. So you really want to question yourself beforehand. Sometimes you can wait 24 hours before you make that purchase to find out if this is something that I really, 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 really want. Right? So these are just some mechanisms that you can put in place, but definitely make it hard to spend. Identify what emotional triggers are causing you to spend. Question, is this helping me? Is this hurting my budget, right? And if you are budgeting well, you need to say to yourself, is this in my budget or not? And if it's not in your budget, then it's not something that you should not be spending on, because really impulse spending is unplanned spending. So these are just some things I know that, being a an emotional shopper myself, a recovered emotional shopper myself. I know what it is like to want to, you're having a bad day and you just want to go buy something nice, right? But
Right.
think about the implication that it will have on your budget. And right now,
Right.
where things are so scarce and there's so much unpredictability and uncertainty surrounding where our money is coming from, it doesn't make sense to impulse buy if you don't need to, because usually it just causes us to what we call bust your budget, or you might just be accruing on unnecessary debt, credit card
Right.
debt,
Right.
just by engaging in those types of activities.
Now, another thing that a lot of people were quick to spend money on, it's buying food outside, rather than cooking home food. Now, some people have the argument that, it is cheaper for me to buy fast food and less troublesome than, buying groceries and cooking food at home. What's the economics behind it, and are they right in that thinking?
Now here's the thing, right? I think that the question should be, is it that fast food, is it really a matter of cost, or people's arguments fueled by convenience? Tell me you want to buy fast food because you don't feel like cooking or you don't know how to cook. Tell me you want to buy fast food because you don't want to go to the hassle of going to the grocery and buying ingredients, prepping the meal, cooking the meal. Yes, we understand that that can be a task, but spending money on fast food over time is going to bust your budget. It's a budget buster. As a matter of fact, one of the ways in which we say you can spend money is reassessing how much you spend on food, right? Let's say, for example, we all love the doubles man first thing in the morning, right? He's convenient, right? Doubles taste good, right? And the thing is, people engage in fast food and they want to put up the facade that it's cheaper when it actually isn't. I go to the doubles man and I buy $30 worth of doubles. That's about 6 doubles. If I take that same $30 and invest it in ingredients to make doubles, I am going to be able to feed my family with extra leaving over. And that's the reality of it. And I wanted to bring to the forefront that example to show you that when you buy food and you go through the process of prepping your own food, you get more bang for your buck, right? Without a doubt, it is more convenient, but I think it goes past being convenient and to the bordering on addiction. We have a taste for fast food. We want to have fast food. You would have food home in your fridge ready for you, or food in your cupboard, right? It's not that people don't have groceries. Don't tell me you don't have groceries. Most people have groceries. You just prefer to purchase fast food, right? But over time, when you look at it, you're actually going to be spending more money if you sit down and do your math. And let's talk about the benefits of preparing the same meals at home. I loved being at home during COVID-19 and scrolling through Facebook and seeing all the wonderful creations people would have been making with very little resources, right? You can have the same meals prepped at home for less money, and you have the opportunity to spend time bonding with family and friends, not to mention you get to control the ingredients in your food. So it is definitely a healthy choice. So in the short term, fast food may seem convenient and cheaper because you want it now. It fills an immediate need. However, in the long run, it's going to hurt your budget, right? It is going to cause you unnecessary health problems. And when you look at that, there is really no cost that you can attach to that.
Right. Definitely, definitely. That's all we have time for this morning. I want to thank you so much for joining us and giving us some tips about what we can do to control our spending and to budget during this time of a pandemic, and ensuring that we don't bust the budget, as you rightly said. So I want to thank you so much, and continue doing the great work that you are doing. And before we go, though, I do know that you have a free online financial advice session coming up soon. Can you tell us quickly about it?
Oh, all right. So, Trinidad and Tobago, I just have one question for you. Are you ready to evolve your finances? Now, during this time, financial literacy is crucial. Learning how to budget is crucial. Learning how to manage your debt is crucial. How do I apportion my savings? They are all crucial things. And from next week, from the 22nd of June, I will be having a free financial literacy series. It comprises of 3 workshops where we'll be teaching you all these skills that are necessary for you to survive these times. This is actually the second running of the workshop. We actually did it a few weeks ago. We got over 150 persons subscribing to the workshop, and people have been begging us to bring it back again. So to the public, this is our gift to you. I believe in financial literacy and how it can help someone's life, and I want to be able to contribute meaningfully to help people overcome this period.
All right, thank you so much, Alana. That's Alleyne, personal development coach, as well as a certified financial educator and instructor. And we're speaking about budgeting in COVID. We're going to take a short break and we have much more in the program. Stay right where you are. This is In Our Morning Show.